The encounters of fighter jets over the Black Sea recently have raised the possibility of conflicts between Russia and NATO. The prospect of a massive Russia-NATO war across the European continent has struck fear in the minds of thousands for decades since the Cold War. The concern has been massive for many years. As far back as 7 years ago in 2016, the Rand Corporation published a concerning study suggesting that given the size and depth of its ground war arsenal, Russia could quickly overrun the Baltics should it choose to invade. The findings of this study prompted discussion about sending more U.S. forces to Eastern Europe to strengthen a deterrence posture. Up to now, although still carrying out sorties to intercept NATO fighter jets, Moscow is very cautious of the air forces of the United States and Western countries. At the same time, the Kremlin is also seeking support from allied nations. Can the combined power of Russia, China, and North Korea directly confront NATO? Many of us would be wondering what would happen if there were an actual confrontation between Russia and NATO. Why does Russia threaten others with nuclear power but still exercises restraint to avoid conflicts with NATO? Undoubtedly, NATO possesses a formidable ground force. However, the Kremlin's caution is related to the combat capabilities of their air force. Russia has hundreds of fighter jets, including extremely dangerous Su-30s, Su-27s, and Su-35s, and of course its emerging fifth-generation Su-57. However, Russian newspapers report that there are only a small number of Su-57s, and the aircraft may or may not truly rival the F-35. Russia suffers from a numbers deficit in the air, as the US already operates more than 300 F-35As, and European allies are fast joining the multinational community of F-35 allied nations. With this advantage, it would not be surprising for US and NATO to quickly deploy more F-35 fighter jets in Eastern Europe, forcing President Putin to reconsider if he wants to challenge NATO's air force. Clearly, Russia cannot unilaterally confront NATO. Therefore, the Kremlin seeks to strengthen its power by tightening relations with allied countries, especially those with tense relationships with the US. According to Eurasian Times, at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit last month, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu used the platform to criticize the United States and Western countries. Notably, the Russian defense minister not only attacked the US, but also targeted all members of the Quad group, including India. China initially advocated a multipolar world where there were two poles in the world, the US and the other Russia. With this facade, China was pursuing its expansionist agenda and death-trap diplomacy worldwide. It was primarily working towards a construct wherein it could become the singular pole in the world, leaving behind not only Russia, but also the US. Before it could fully achieve its goal, the Trump administration realized this and started initiating necessary measures to checkmate China. The same stance was further advanced by the current Biden administration, where it was considered necessary to checkmate China in the larger interest of humanity and the world. Having suffered a loss of face from Afghanistan withdrawal, the U.S. renewed its focus on the Indo-Pacific to contain China. The U.S. made special efforts to arm and empower Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and other stakeholders. Quad was also energized to ensure the international rule-based world order in Indo-Pacific. Besides containing China, India's interest also aligned with this approach due to its stakes in the Indo-Pacific and the need to contain China due to large border disputes. In the meantime, China was playing bigger games. It realized it could not stand effectively against the US on its own. Therefore, it entered a no-limit friendship with Russia, declared publicly during the Beijing Olympics in February 2022, before Russia's Ukraine offensive launched. As the conflicts progressed between Russia and Ukraine, the US and the entire Western world sided with Ukraine. With this, the relationship between Russia and China has also been intensifying. This approach was visible when the Russian defense minister spoke from the platform of the SCO, wherein he lashed at India, one of its most trusted friends. North Korea has been relatively quiet about its relationship with Russia this year. However, on Russia's Victory Day celebration, leader Kim Jong-un sent congratulations and expressed support for the Kremlin administration. On May 9th, North Korea's state-run television KRT quoted leader Kim Jong-un in a congratulatory message to President Putin, the Russian military, and the Russian people, who are courageously fighting against the imperialist dictatorial behavior and protecting global peace. It is known that North Korea has tightened its relationship with the Kremlin and supported Russia when Moscow advanced into Kyiv last year. North Korea is also one of the few countries that recognize Russia's annexation of parts of Ukrainian territory. After tensions escalated in Eastern Europe, it is clear that Russia needs to reconsider if it wants to confront NATO. However, with the Russia-China-North Korea alliance, the balance of power would be quite different. Considering the overall picture, the global firepower rankings show that NATO's strength is somewhat superior with the presence of 4 members, the US, the UK, France, and Italy. Russia and China hold a second and third positions in the rankings, but North Korea is quite far behind at position 34. However, when it comes to ground forces, North Korea is not at all inferior. According to an article published by Style Mania on May 4th, Pyongyang has 6,645 tanks, ranking second in the world. When it comes to naval forces, the defense statistics website Global Firepower has compiled information on the military of 145 countries to determine the largest fleet in the world. With data from military factories and other sources, the ranking of each country will be determined based on the number of ships in the Navy. With the above calculation, after incessant development, China currently has the largest naval force in the world. This could potentially cause concern for Taiwan, as the island is only about 100 miles east of China. Currently, China has more submarines, destroyers, and escort ships than any other country. Meanwhile, Russia is the second-ranked power, with a fleet historically specialized in scouting locations to build ports. Next, the third position belongs to North Korea, as the country owns quite a number of offshore patrol vessels. The United States ranks fourth, thanks to having 11 aircraft carriers, the most in the world. However, in terms of firepower quality, the U.S. Navy is virtually unmatched. Surprisingly, the Royal Navy of the United Kingdom, the most powerful force in the world during World War II, is not even in the top 20 largest fleets in the world. The most important, of course, is nuclear capability. As of September 1st, 2022, it was estimated that the US had 1,420 deployed warheads and 659 deployed strategic delivery systems, and Russia had 1,549 deployed warheads and 540 strategic launchers. But altogether, deployed and deployable, the number of nuclear warheads is much more. Reportedly, Russia has 5,977 nuclear warheads in its arsenal. The US has 5,428 warheads. Together, these two nations own about 90% of the world's nuclear warheads. While American officials, including President Joe Biden, have not said anything significant about the U.S. nuclear weapons and launching platforms following the derailing of the New START, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said, "We will continue to develop and strengthen our armed forces, taking into account potential military threats and risks." China now has 300 ICBMs and launchers, but that's still less than the United States, which has 400 ICBMs and 450 ICBM launchers. The U.S. Department of Defense estimates that China could potentially increase its nuclear arsenal fivefold by 2035 and soon match the nuclear capabilities of the United States and Russia. This development could have unpredictable consequences. Regarding North Korea's nuclear capabilities, let's look back at Pyongyang's successful testing of the Hwasong-18 missile last month. There's no debate about the offensive capabilities of this type of missile, but the question is, where did North Korea get this system?
Theo bài phân tích được trang tin 1945 trích đăng ngày 7 tháng 5, nhiều khả năng Nga đã cung cấp công nghệ và một số bộ phận để Triều Tiên sản xuất tên lửa đạn đạo. Điều này đã diễn ra ít nhất từ năm 2018, và trên thực tế, Mỹ đã nhiều lần áp lệnh trừng phạt lên các công ty Nga vì cung cấp nguyên liệu cho Triều Tiên. Bên cạnh đó, hãy nhìn lại quá trình phát triển và ra mắt nhanh chóng của Hwasong-18 một cách đầy đủ. Một cuộc thử nghiệm động cơ tĩnh đã được tiến hành vào tháng 12 năm 2022. Tên lửa cũng được trưng bày trong một cuộc duyệt binh vào ngày 8 tháng 2. Vụ phóng tên lửa thực tế sau đó diễn ra vào ngày 14 tháng 4. Bất cứ ai nghĩ rằng Triều Tiên thức dậy vào một buổi sáng, sau đó nghĩ ra công nghệ nhiên liệu rắn cho ICBM và thử nghiệm thành công thì cần phải xem lại, bởi thực chất có thể Nga đã hỗ trợ kỹ thuật, thậm chí cung cấp toàn bộ hệ thống cho Bình Nhưỡng. Với lập luận này, mối đe dọa từ Triều Tiên là có thật. Trong những năm gần đây, Bình Nhưỡng đã chứng minh rằng quốc gia này không chỉ muốn mở rộng mà còn có ý định hiện đại hóa vũ khí hạt nhân và các nền tảng kỹ thuật phụ trợ. Triều Tiên đã phát triển được vũ khí hạt nhân, nên những mối lo ngại của chính phủ Hàn Quốc hoàn toàn có cơ sở. Vụ phóng ICBM gần đây với công nghệ mới chỉ là một ví dụ tiếp theo về chiến lược của Bình Nhưỡng. Hwasong-18 có thể không phải là kẻ thay đổi cuộc chơi, nhưng loại tên lửa này chắc chắn sẽ là phức tạp hơn các mối đe dọa thường trực đối với Hàn Quốc.
Sẽ thật thiếu sót nếu không đề cập đến trí thông minh nhân tạo, bởi trong tương lai, công nghệ AI mới là yếu tố có vai trò quyết định cục diện chiến trường. Hãy xem cuộc đua vũ trang giữa Liên minh Nga, Trung Triều với NATO đang diễn ra như thế nào.
Theo hãng tin 1945, để Hoa Kỳ có thể thiết lập ưu thế trên không so với các đối thủ, lực lượng không quân và hải quân Mỹ đang nỗ lực tạo ra các phi đội máy bay chiến đấu thế hệ tiếp theo. Vào tháng trước, Hải quân Hoa Kỳ đã yêu cầu hơn 1,5 tỷ đô la để chế tạo máy bay chiến đấu thế hệ thứ 6 tuyệt mật với ký hiệu FAXX, dự kiến sẽ thay thế cho thế hệ máy bay FA-18EF Super Hornet của hạm đội. Máy bay phản lực mới được xem là phương tiện tiên phong với khả năng chiến đấu kết hợp giữa người điều khiển và công nghệ AI. Khi vai trò của các máy bay không người lái UAV ngày càng trở nên rõ ràng, quân đội Mỹ xem thế hệ máy bay phản lực mới chính là tương lai của các phi đội Mỹ. Giám đốc Bộ phận Chiến tranh Không quân thuộc Văn phòng Giám đốc Hoạt động Hải quân tiết lộ rằng, theo kế hoạch, phương tiện này sẽ đạt được tính năng tự động 60%. Theo hãng tin 1945, việc triển khai các máy bay không người lái thay cho phi công sẽ giúp tiết kiệm chi phí và giảm thiểu thương vong. Tuy nhiên, những loại máy bay chiến đấu AI này chưa được trải nghiệm trên chiến trường. Do đó, Hoa Kỳ cần phải thực hiện nhiều hơn nếu muốn vượt lên trước các đối thủ khác.
According to Market Watch, artificial intelligence has become the focus in the global arms race. Now, as AI is being integrated into military applications, the United States is increasingly concerned about China's arsenal. Specifically, Beijing is actively pursuing AI-assisted weapons, including autonomous drones like the Blowfish A2, which can conduct targeted attacks with minimal human intervention, and autonomous underwater vehicles or AUVs, such as the third-generation Jianglong, capable of conducting reconnaissance, dealing with mines, and engaging in anti-submarine warfare. China is also researching AI systems that can assist in battlefield decision-making, provide real-time data analysis, and enhance situational awareness. China's pursuit of AI superiority has concerned the U.S. government, leading to the establishment of the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence to address the issue. The possibility of China achieving artificial general intelligence, or AGI, before the United States is considered a clear threat to the U.S. interests and global leadership. Moscow also seeks to become one of the world leaders in this novel technology. In 2017, Putin famously proclaimed, "Whichever country becomes the leader in artificial intelligence will become the ruler of the world." In October 2019, Vladimir Putin approved Russia's national strategy for the development of artificial intelligence to 2030 and directed his cabinet to report annually about the progress of its implementation. At the AI Journal Conference in Moscow in November 2022, Putin urges Russia's researchers to create breakthrough technologies of a new era, Russia's place in the world, sovereignty, and security depend on the results it achieves in AI, he said. Russia's AI strategy is primarily focused on robotics, robot-human interaction, and counter-drone warfare. Russian military strategists believe that the expanding role of unmanned aerial vehicles in modern warfare necessitates the development of UAV killing UAV systems. AI is also viewed by Russian strategists as a perfect technology to enable Moscow's doctrine of controlled chaos as a way of deterring Washington from intervening in a conflict, such as the one in Ukraine. Russia and China are not only accelerating their AI research pace, but these countries are also planning to collaborate to achieve significant breakthroughs. From there, they aim to counter the United States and shape a new world order. And with the above information, we probably understand why the West is firmly imposing technology sanctions on Russia and China. However, Moscow and Beijing will not easily give up their ambitions to take the lead. The race in military technology will therefore continue to have many interesting stories going forward.